I'd like to welcome everyone out to our Layton City Council meeting, August 19th. The time is 7 p.m., and so I'd like to call this meeting to order. And in doing so, we generally start out our meeting with a ceremony, and each month a different council member is in charge of that. So I am going to turn the time over to Councilman Bloxham for those services.
You want to rise with me? We're going to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to gather together as a legislative body for the city of Layton to discuss the matters of the day. We're grateful to be in the presence of so many of our wonderful workers, and we're grateful for the service they provided to the city. We ask you to please bless us as we discuss these issues, that we may have thy Spirit to be with us to conduct the business of the city in a way that's pleasing to thee. We are grateful to live in this great country and the constitutional freedoms that we have, and help us to be kind to our neighbors and help us to strive to make our city the best we can. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Bloxham. Okay. I know. I have to muff up on a name somewhere. Okay, with that, Council, I'd like to, we've got one set of minutes that we need to take action on, and they are from our work meeting of May 20th. So does anyone have any revisions or have read those where you feel like there needs to be any changes? If not, I'll look for a motion regarding those minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of May 20th, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we accept the minutes as written for our May 20th, 2021 council work meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on down to our municipal announcements. So if any of the members of the council, do you have any municipal announcements you'd like to share at this time? No. I do know that the Parks and Rec on the 27th of this month is going to have their end of the summer bash at the Layton Surf and Swim. So on that evening, it's from 7 to 9 p.m. There's actually a reduced price to get in. It's only $2, and the tubes are free. And it's based on a limited quantity of tubes, but certainly that's a good way to kind of end the summer, I guess, as far as coming over to the surf and swim and enjoying a good evening there. Those are the only ones that I know of, other than our day of service is going to be on September 11th. So please watch social media and some additional postings as far as what all that involves. But it's an opportunity for you to step up as citizens and residents, as well as business owners, to just kind of help beautify our city and really show the love and appreciation for one another. Okay, Council, I'll move on to our verbal presentation. And this is actually, we've got some service awards here, and I'm going to turn the time over to our city manager, Mr. Alex Jensen, for those awards.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and the members of the council. Can you hear me okay? Is that on? Okay, very good. Dave said too bad. He can hear me. So anyway, it's really a privilege, again, to have an opportunity this evening to recognize the outstanding employees of the city. And we have it's a small program, but we think it's important, and not in terms of the monetary value associated with it, but rather what it has in terms of its meaning. And that's that at 5-year increments, we try to recognize the employees of the city. For those that have been with the city for 5 or 10 or 15 years, anything less than 20, I take the opportunity to go into the departments and recognize the employees in front of their peers. If an employee's been with the city for 20 years or greater, we ask them to get out of their comfort zone a little bit sometimes and to come into a public setting like tonight to be recognized by the city council and by any members of the community that are they're in attendance as well. And so it's really a privilege, a blessing to have the opportunity tonight to recognize some outstanding employees. The mayor and the council have been given a list of all the employees who are at an anniversary date of either 5, 10, 15, or 20. But tonight would like to specifically focus on employees that in the various departments that have been with the city for 20 or more years. One of the things, I could go on and on, so you may have to cut me off, Mayor, but one of the great blessings the city has is a lot of longevity in really important positions. And those employees have adapted to the culture of the city. In fact, they've been a big part of the creation of the culture in the city, which is a very positive one. And they are shining examples as we have new employees come and people retire and new employees come into the city. New people coming into the city learn the culture and the expectations very quickly, not from me necessarily or from a Parks and Rec or a HR manual, but they learn it from their coworkers saying, this is the way we do business in Layton. This is what's expected. Honesty, integrity, hard work, accountability, all those kind of things that we expect in the city. And that's somewhat unique. And so the culture perpetuates itself. I say all the time, and I'll continue to say because I really mean it, the secret sauce of this city, and it's a good city, we're not perfect, but it's a really good city, is the quality of the employees, first and foremost. That they're good at work and they're good outside of work, under just about any kind of definition of good you want to apply. And that's really, I think, the secret. And the mayor and the council and administration, we try to provide resources and support them, but this city functions as well as it does because of the employees, you. And so I want to thank you. And I consider it a blessing and privilege to be associated with you. And very proud to be associated with the employees of Layton City. The other thing I'd say, I see some of you, especially you men who are employees, that by your sides are some beautiful women that took a terrible risk on you. But my point is that, and I have the same problem, but my point is that we know, particularly all employees, but especially for public safety, public works, people that are on call all the time, that there are times when you have to leave your family, and you do it voluntarily to go help somebody else's family. And just want to thank and recognize the spouses and the children, the families, the significant others of the employees of the city, because you're a big part of their ability to do that so well. So anyway, that's kind of a long speech, but it's generally heartfelt. So tonight there's some outstanding employees that we'd like to recognize, as there typically is, but I'd like to do it by department. And as I read your names by department, if you could just come up and then go around and shake the hands of the council members and let them congratulate you. And then when you come by me, I'll give you a plaque. It's not as good as a check for $100, but hopefully it has some meaning, and we hope the employees will take that and keep it and see that it's acknowledgement of appreciation and gratitude for all that you do for the city and the citizens of the city. So the first are two distinguished gentlemen from the fire department. The first is Mr. Michael Graham. I'm going to put my glasses on here so I don't misread this, but Mike's an engineer and a paramedic. And I should have mentioned Mike's been with the city for 20 years. The next is Mr. Brent McFarland, and Brent is a captain in the fire department and an EMT. So Brent here, yep, and the front. next is from the police departments, Mr. Wesley McKinney. Wes is a police officer, been in the department for 20 years as well. And in fact, yesterday, he had his retirement ceremony. So he's retiring as a police officer. Again, perhaps I'm taking enough time and I could say something personally about each one of these employees. I love them and appreciate them. I say that genuinely. One thing about Wes, he's been a police officer for all these years. Being a police officer is a tough environment. And in that, employees and public safety in general is a tough environment. It's not that appreciated, but oftentimes people become jaded and change as a result of the interaction they have and the difficulty. Wes is a shining example of somebody who's been an excellent law enforcement officer, but the difficult things he's dealt with haven't changed him. He's kind and gentle and professional, and he's a true gentleman, even when you wear in the uniform. So congratulations to you, Wes. We're going to miss you. We need more like you. The next is in Parks and Rec. It's Miss Michelle Howard, and Michelle is the Assistant Parks and Rec Director. Thank you, Michelle. And then from Public Works, Mr. Jason Mott. Jason's one of our top mechanics in the public workshop, maintains all of the equipment, helps maintain all equipment from fire apparatus to ambulances to heavy equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Good job, way to go. Thanks for taking care of everybody.
I don't think I've ever seen one without a hat on. And then 25 years, I'd like to recognize Mr. Brett Perkins. Brett is currently serving as a public works inspector. So he goes out and manages the construction and certifies it's done to appropriate standards. But for years and years before that, he worked in the water department. Brett's a great employee. He's like MacGyver. He can do anything, fix anything, do anything. Great job.
I know, that's what I was saying.
And the last is 35-year recognition for Mr. Steve Garside, sitting here. So Steve was, for many, many years, served as in the city attorney's office as assistant city attorney, and just recently he's been changed and he's become the director of management services for the city and helps me as well as the assistant city manager. So Steve's been with a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, well, maybe he's better up.
Steve got me out of a lot of problems when I was in high school.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And again, not to belabor it too much, as amazing as the employees are that we recognize tonight, and they all are amazing, they're representative of the employee pool at the city in general. So you haven't seen or met all of them, but in seeing and hearing a little bit about these that we've recognized tonight, then you have a flavor for what we expect of the city and what we value at the city. The other thing I want to say is regardless of the department they're in, regardless of the uniform they wear, or whether they wear a suit and tie, or whether they wear Levi's and boots and hats and all those kind of things, every one of them are a professional and they're an expert in their field. There's no distinction. There is professional. Brett is as professional and an expert in public works and maintaining systems and building things as Steve Garside is, wearing a suit and tie every day as an attorney or as director of management services. And that's one of the great qualities, is that there's a level of competency and expertise that flows throughout the organization. So again, just a pleasure to be associated with the mayor, and thank you for the opportunity to recognize them tonight.
Yeah. Again, thank you all. We really appreciate all your dedication to the city. And as Alex had mentioned, there were several others that have put in a lot of time here as well that we want to acknowledge. I think there's, about another 20 that I wish we could acknowledge all of them here, because I do appreciate them. And I know the entire council could say the same thing, that we wouldn't look as good as if it wasn't for the staff and all the work that they do. So thank you again. So, okay. Thank you, Alex. We appreciate that. And we're going to go ahead and move on in our agenda items. We are now, yes, you're more than welcome to vacate.
Run
while you can. You know what's neat about this is you see so many of the other department folks here that were here as camaraderie for one another. You know, thank you for being here for your fellow department employees and in their recognition. So I think that's cool. Okay, as everyone's leaving at this time that we're part of our service award, I do want to go ahead and move on to the our citizens' comment portion of our meeting. This portion here is for you to bring any of your ideas, or questions, or concerns before this body. And so you're welcome to come up to the podium either side. You can state your name and address for the record. And certainly if you're here on behalf of a larger group, I'd be happy to give you more time. Otherwise, typically we ask you to keep your comments brief. And certainly if somebody's already kind of stated your point that you wanted to say, perhaps maybe you could bring up a new topic or a new point so that, we're not hearing the same thing over and over. Because we do understand that certainly there are issues that are common, but there could be additional items that would be good for us to know. So with that, I'll turn the time over to our citizens.
Hello, thanks for having us tonight. My name is Robin Waters, and we live at 98 South, 2200 West in Layton, a couple lots down from the Bayview Veterinary Clinic. A lot of you have been contacted by my husband. Unfortunately, I'm sorry if that was not a good experience for you, but he has a condition that causes a really bad, hard time for our family. When the dogs are barking, and he went into a horrible panic attack today. I ended up leaving work just to try to get him to calm down, and I was able to get a hold of Mr. Tom Day today, who also came over, and he saw part of it, which was very calm compared to where he was before. We're wondering what can be done about it. They talked about doing a sound wall around it. I noticed there is a something wall around it, but it does not take care of the sound. And on weekends, we can hear, and even on weekdays, but usually it's weekends, we can hear the dogs barking on the inside of the building because it's ricocheting against the walls. I don't want to have to listen to dogs bark 24/7 when I'm out in my yard trying to mow the lawn or just enjoying a night with my family as anybody else would want to do. And I'm just wondering where that can be stand. I know that the animal control has been involved. We've called the police, obviously. We've been in contact with the city. And I do have a copy of the conditional use permit, which I don't think that they are meeting, in my opinion. So I just wanted to bring that up to your, so you guys can relook at that and see what can be done to eliminate this issue, so that we can enjoy our peace and quiet and they can still have a business for us. So.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm Tyson Waters, Robin's son. Same address, 98 South, 2200 West. Yeah, it's been real troublesome time for the past year or so, ever since it's been built. It is worse on the weekends when a holiday comes, or holiday weekend, or just weekends in general, but especially on a holiday weekend where a lot of folks will leave and come board their dogs right there. They could store up to 50 dogs, which we were not aware of in the beginning that they were able to board there. As my mom mentioned, it's one of the reasons, or one of the parts of the conditional use permits that we don't see that's in there. But like I said, it's worse on the weekends, especially holiday weekends. You can hear the sound bouncing from inside, even from our place of residence. And like I said, it's put a lot of stress and emotional stress. Like I said, it comes to a point where my dad's, it's a medical condition in his brain and in his ears that when he gets triggered like that, it's hard for him to breathe. Like to the point where he's bending over and having a hard time to breathe. And so he has to take some serious medication, and he's already on some medication to help with this. So we're trying to do it. We're trying to help from a medical standpoint from that side, but it is a condition that is unfamiliar with his medical doctors. And so we're trying to hit it from all standpoints here. So any help would be great.
Thank you, Tyson.
Can I add one additional thing that I didn't think of until Tyson brought that up, is that when they announced the vet clinic and put it up for that, it just said vet clinic. We were not aware that it would be boarding, so we were not involved in the initial approval or to make any type of standpoint towards that, knowing that it would just be a vet clinic, thinking they're open from 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever, like a standard vet would, not standard boarding of dogs every day. So anyway.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Good evening. My name is Louise Brown, and I've come this evening to request a work meeting between you and the citizens living in Cedarwood Mobile Home Park. I do this for 3 reasons. First of all, that the 71 families who are currently living in the park are in a dire circumstance. 14 of those families already face eviction by the end of December. And without your intervention, they will be in crisis and possibly homeless. Also, if this relocation by eviction process works, it's likely that the remaining families will face the same fate. Secondly, the 71 tax-paying Layton families that live in Cedarwood want to speak with you. Their stories are too unique and complicated to explain in a 3-minute citizen's comment here. But without a work meeting, their only option is to stand here one by one and try to explain their concerns in a 3-minute soundbite, and that's going to be a lot of sound bites. And then the third reason I thought of is I'd like you to ask yourselves, how many years has Layton City been working on the South Main Redevelopment Agency project? And how many work meetings have you had with Mr. Winkle or one of his representatives? And how many staff meetings have you had with him? And how many RDA meetings have you had with him? And I just can't imagine that those 71 families who are going to be so disastrously impacted by all the days and months and years spent working with Mr. Winkle don't also deserve your time and attention. Finally, I'm grateful. 2 weeks ago, Mayor Petro offered a work meeting in lieu of filling this room up with unhappy citizens who want their 3-minute turn at this podium, at this microphone. We gratefully accepted that idea. But after last council meeting, she motioned me up and said that the council wants to learn more about the situation before they face the citizens, and that makes sense. I understand that. But the question still remains in front of us that the time is running out for these folks. And so when is the right time to have a work meeting with the people in Cedarwood? They don't have that many choices. They're not good choices. They're choices that would cost them and the city time and money. And so I'm standing before you to ask you in their behalf to please arrange a work meeting for them. And give them the same courtesy that you have given to Mr. Winkle. Do we get responses at this, or do we just comment? Or do you have any questions for me?
Okay. Louise, no, thank you.
Okay.
I will definitely, again, see if there's a flavor for a meeting. I do know this on behalf of the staff. They have been working on this project
For a long time. Yeah.
And without divulging any information that I can tell you that the pressure has continued to be placed upon them to make sure that they're following the state statute and to be able to take the proper action that is required here. So
I'm grateful.
So, I mean, it's not going on deaf ears.
Good.
But I think
that's good.
You did see the article and realize that there's a lot of steps involved, and it does not stop here at the city.
That's correct. I served 2 terms on a planning commission and 2 terms on a city council myself. I understand the steps. I would just urge you in your deliberations to please be aware that when you use the term relocate, it's imperative to explain what you mean by that. Because if by relocate you mean for the people to be moved out of that area, that's happening right now. But it's happening by eviction. And I sincerely believe that the city never, in all of their deliberations with Mr. Winkle and all the times that they've said to him that he had a responsibility to relocate the people, that they meant eviction. I pray that's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure, you're welcome. Just make sure you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rick Sheffield. I live at 729 East, 425 South in Layton. I don't represent the church, but I'm the bishop of over the Cedarwood. And I just have some current concerns. I've lived in Layton since first grade, and my claim to fame is I graduated with K. Petro. So, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned about what we do in this city for the poor. As a bishop, I'm concerned about how we take care of those in need, and these people that live in this trailer park are definitely those that are in need. And when we make a deal with the developers, I understand that this may benefit, and we're not opposed. As a private citizen, I'm not opposed to this development, but I'm concerned that there was nothing in writing that forced Mr. Winkle to keep the commitments that he's made verbally. And not only in this project, but other projects that I've been aware of as a longtime Layton citizen. I just think, I don't know all the legal ramifications. I'm not an attorney, but it just seems like when we do developments, we need to put something in writing, so contractual arrangements, so the developers can be not just encouraged, but required by law to keep the commitments they've made. These folks are going to be kicked out with, and they pay around $700 rent. Where are they going to find that elsewhere in Layton City? They're just not. So I would hope that what Louise said, that you'll listen to her. We can have a work meeting. There's some way that can encourage Mr. Winkle to actually help them to move to a different trailer park. Louise has looked around, and there's not many vacancies left in trailer parks anywhere around. So there's really not a lot of options unless Mr. Winkle will financially help these people relocate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sure, you're welcome to come up.
Thank you. Dr. Brad Richens, 1902 East, 2125 North in Layton, Utah. Also concerning the Cedarwood project. Thank you for the couple of minutes. I just wanted to kind of share with a little CCO, Concerned Citizen Organization, with the residents of Cedarwood that we're forming. What's not going on here is a debate about gentrification or about population relocation, a displacement. We understand that's being done, and I don't think even the residents are understanding the need for redevelopment, and it needs to be done in these opportunity zones. However, I think, just as been stated before, a simple work meeting so that we can have the opportunity for those residents to kind of share not only how it's affecting each one of them and their families and their children and their high schoolers and all the people that are there, but also so perhaps we can come to some sort of resolution. We all know with gentrification, what happens is there's no clear path as to what we need to do to how to relocate these lower income citizens and where to put them. And there's no government agency. I applaud the city council and the mayor because it looks to me like there has been a precedence established with Mr. Winkle that we need to relocate these, as the county attorney has said, properly, in a proper way, not just eviction. And so I think as we open the dialogue, if any help that the city council and the mayor can get opening the dialogue to Mr. Winkle, then I think there's a positive resolution that can happen here. And so having said that, I would just admonish that we have a work meeting and we could be heard and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to address this body? Okay, seeing that there's none, I just want to say thank you. We definitely will take all those comments into consideration, and I'll get back to you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, council, then to our consent items. We have, 3 items on our consent item, and as usual, we can enact on these as one vote. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to our employee of 20 years, Miss Michelle Howard, representing the Parks and Rec Department, and it's regarding an agreement with Layton City and Rocky Mountain Power for Ellison Park.
Yes, Mayor and Council, thank you for letting me be here. My first act as a newly plaqued 20-year employee is to come and present Resolution 2136 to you. This resolution authorizes the execution of an easement agreement between Layton City and Rocky Mountain Power for access into Ellison Park to provide electrical power to the new pickleball courts and restroom facility under construction as part of the Ellison Park Pickleball Complex and Restroom Facility Project 20-2, located at 700 North, 2200 West. You can see they've got a map up on your screen that shows where this easement will be. Specifically, this easement agreement is for a right-of-way of 10 feet in width and approximately 694 feet in length, provided for the construction, reconstruction, operation, maintenance, repair, replacement, enlargement, and removal of electrical power, transmission, distribution, and communication lines, and all the necessary or desirable accessories and appurtenances. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that word. Thereto required for providing electrical power services into the park. Staff recommends that the council adopt this resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an easement agreement between Layton City and Rocky Mountain Power for access into Ellison Park and provide electrical power to the new pickleball courts and restroom facility under construction as part of the Ellison Park Pickleball Complex and Restroom Facility Project 20-2.
Council, do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
About this project.
Oh, yeah, never mind. When you going to be done? After this approval?
So after this approval, the pickleball courts, I'm being told by the Parks Division, should be done around late October, first part of November.
Wow.
And then the restroom facility should follow that. Usability for this project would be in the spring when the weather clears up.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's a lot of folks that hopefully are listening. That was music to their ears. So thank you, Michelle. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to items B and C, because Mr. Wilkinson's going to present both items, but we'll deal with them individually. So let's go ahead and with the amended plat.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The first item is, as was said, is a subdivision amendment. This is the Layton Market Center Phase 3 subdivision second amendment. The location of the property is shown on the map with that red dot. It's up near the conference center, the Davis Conference Center. This is a aerial photo with the zoning map laid over the top. The property is outlined here in this cross-hatched yellow area. You can see some of those stores peeking through the exhibit there, Michael's and the furniture mattress store there underneath there. Just go over the amended plat for just a moment. This is the proposed plat. There's some adjustments being made to several of these lot lines. There's also an turnaround easement being provided as part of this amended plat. The plat in front of you now is the current plat as it sits, as it's recorded. You can see predominantly, as I go back to this other plat, that a lot of those changes, the property line changes, my mouse has decided not to, there we go. The property line changes are right around the area where that red outline is. You can see that easement very clearly, and you can see the other lot line adjustments that are being made. This is in anticipation of a transfer of some property to the Davis Conference Center from the current property owner. We don't have any plans or anything. We just know that that's being negotiated right now between the county and this property owner, and this will facilitate that purchase and the continued use of the remainder of that property. We have reviewed this, and we are recommending the council approve this subdivision amendment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
So the purpose of the turnaround?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The purpose of the turnaround?
That turnaround's about where that back of that store is. If you were to look back at the aerial photo, this is that, and that's not very clear through that yellow, but this is where that existing store is, and that turnaround falls about right where those vehicles currently maneuver back there to get to those loading docks. So it'd be access to the loading dock and a turnaround area for those
Okay, so
vehicles.
no need to connect to the road that's just right there?
The road would be, so you've got the access road to the north. There's not really a road there. It'd just be accessing around the south side of those buildings.
Which they currently do.
So they're going to be preserving that as part of this to make sure they have that access and that turnaround after this is conveyed, after this property is conveyed to the county.
Okay.
So those retailers would still have access to those areas to turn around and maneuver their vehicles.
Okay, I just don't understand why they don't connect to the road that's just to the north of them. It'd be an easy pull in, and rather than having to go around and turn in. And
they do, but they've got some loading docks back there that they have to access via that roadway that goes behind them. It's a private drive essentially.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, just one question. This was discussed in the Planning Commission on the 27th of July. I believe you were there. Did they have any discussion on this? I know it was passed unanimously, but I didn't see any of the minutes. So was there any discussion on it?
No, not really. Just some general questions, but no concerns or any issues with that. Yeah.
Okay, council, any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and proceed then to item number C.
Thank you. This is a rare occurrence. This is an appeal of an impact fee. This is the stormwater impact fee. I'm going to just turn this off because I don't have any slides related to this, but the applicant has paid their stormwater impact fee for development that's located off of Fort Lane. This is a property that's going to be developed as kind of a split between some RV park area and some storage unit area. The particular development, because of the conditions on the site, has chosen to take advantage of some new changes to state and federal law and to retain their stormwater on site. We went through a little bit of a discussion about the design of that system in our previous work meeting, but it will be 100% retention of the stormwater. Because of that, the applicant has approached the city and requested that we refund their stormwater impact fee in its entirety. It's about $145,000. And again, the requirements of our ordinance are that they pay that first, and then they can appeal that to the council. They have paid that stormwater impact fee, and now we're requesting that be reimbursed. Based on the conditions of the site, based on this being what we feel will be a very rare situation, and based on the fact that they on the design, they won't have any impacts to that city stormwater system as designed, we are recommending the council approve this request for a refund of that stormwater impact fee, and that would be done by approval of Resolution 21-38. Be happy to answer any questions if I can.
One for you, Steve. I'm assuming this isn't, I'm up for really discussion, but I'm assuming this is an administrative decision, not a legislative one.
Correct.
Okay, council, do you have any questions? I know you did a good job in the work meeting, kind of explaining the parameters on why we would consider this, only because of the details of how they could maintain that water on the property going forward. So, I mean, this is kind of an anomaly.
Yes.
And we want to acknowledge that this is actually the first one. So.
Yeah, and we don't expect to have many. And thanks to Steve Jackson for his input on this as well. And he's reviewed all their plans and made sure that this meets all the applicable ordinances and can go forward.
So I just have a comment because it was brought up in work meeting, and that's about the cost. I think, honestly, that moving forward, there ought to be some administrative fee with this because, as you just said, your time is here. We're paying you to be here tonight. Steve has had to review plans. The money's had to be run through finance and taken back out through the finance department. There are costs occurred with this, allowing this to happen. And I think that it ought to be looked at in the future that maybe not a lot, but something of this probably ought to be retained as a refund fee or something like that for your time and services.
And Steve could probably answer. You'd have to see if that's legal or not. Whether you can, because I mean, they're asking for relief that's granted under state law, then not often can you, I don't think, just pass along the fee on to them.
Yeah, but what if every developer comes in and starts asking, and state law keeps changing on us constantly, and all of a sudden, everything we've ever done on applications or whatever, the state comes in and says, oh, if they can prove this, they can get their money back, then how do we make our money? Yeah. I just am concerned that this is costing the city something, maybe not thousands of dollars, but it is costing us something in salary and time and effort to do this. And so whether it's an upfront application fee that's additional to this or whatever, I think the city's being shorted some money in this.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? All right. Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, that brings our consent items to a close. So, council, I'll look for a motion regarding the consent items. Somebody?
Okay, because we want to go home.
What are you going to do when Dawn leaves?
Madam Mayor, make a motion that we approve the following consent items as presented. An easement agreement between Layton City and Rock Mountain Power, Resolution 2136. An amended plat at Layton Market Center Phase 3 subdivision, Second Amendment, and the Southgate Industrial Park impact fee appeal of Resolution 2138.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we accept the consent items as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. That pretty much concludes all of our agenda items on our council meeting tonight. Is there any unfinished business that needs to be brought before us? Seeing that there's none, I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. We thank everyone who is in attendance and thank you those online.